Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, and I need to do an update on my wife's 2014 Jeep Patriot. Well, if you recall on an earlier video, I did get the headlights cleared. I had to wet sand them and polish them, and got them looking really good. Alright, now in the process of doing that, I was using Meguiar's different compounds, polishing compounds. And I laid, I don't know if it's a piece of sandpaper or something that was wet, and I left it on the hood out in the sunshine. And that was a big mistake because the residue on that piece of sandpaper stained the paint. And it was like a third sheet of sandpaper size. Just it was laying right there, and the paint and the heat, and it just absorbed, I guess, the color of the damn compound. So I thought, all right, well, I'll buff that out. I'll buff it out. So I got my buffer, and now I didn't have a good fairly aggressive compound. So I ordered, well, we used to call it DuPont number 7. It was a rubbing compound. Well, the old DuPont number 7 was much more aggressive than what I ended up buying from Amazon. Number 7 is a very medium coarse, if that, buffing compound, and that's fine. That's fine, but I did want an aggressive compound. So I got the compound out in my buffer, and I'm working on this spot, and it's not helping. I mean, you can tell very little difference. Very little difference. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? I got out the other tools that I used on the headlights, which was wet sandpaper. So I started off with, I've got 1,000, 2,000, 1,500, and 1,000. So I started off with 2,000 grit, and it really wasn't doing much of anything. So I dropped to 1,500 wet paper, and wasn't seeing much there, so I went to 1,000. And so I'm getting pretty aggressive with it. You know, well, and then the next thing I notice, much to my surprise, is that the paint is changing color. I'm seeing vestiges of gray primer come through the maroon. I have worn the damn paint coat down to where it's translucent. And actually, I did sand a hole through the color coat. So now, instead of a little cleanup job I thought I was going to get done in an afternoon, I've got to repair the damn hood. So anyway, don't ever allow any sort of rubbing compound or Meguiar's, anything to sit on your hood for an extended period of time in the heat, and because it may stain your whatever paint you've got there. Anyway, let me turn the camera around. I'll show you what I've got ahead of me here. Okay, hang on just a second. All right, guys, that's what it looks like. You can see where I dulled the paint around this, and this is the outline of the sandpaper. And you can see where it's stained all the way down. And I'm getting through to the primer here, right here, of course, and right here. And so now I've got this whole spot here that I'm going to have to touch up or partially paint the panel. It may just be easier to paint the whole hood and clear it, which is what I may end up doing. But it's aggravating, to say the least. So I've got to get the paint code, and I'm going to have to order some paint to do this hood. So anyway, that's, and then some clear to go over it. And I think other than this gray spot, I think the rest of it, I'll just have to hit that with several thin coats to get good coverage. And once I get coverage here, I think I'm in pretty good shape. So anyway, it's kind of a mess, but I'll get this some paint on this and clear coat the hood, and hopefully we'll get this thing wrapped up pretty quick. Anyway, so that's coming. I've got to get materials for that, and it's frustrating, you know. This is my wife's car, and I sure hate to screw it up, you know. Anyway, and this was not supposed to turn out into a job like this, but you know what they say, whatever can go wrong will, and especially when you least expect the problem to arise. All right, guys, well, that's it. I'll be back with more on this project here in the Shade Tree Garage.